everybody. Welcome to Meaningful Monday. And I have a very special guest here today. I kind of stalked her to find her. And she's has some local events and is very active with Earthy Energy, which is a nice little crystal store that has lots of doodads in it, and they put on a lot of different events. And so I was able to find her on that. And her name is Diane Hageman, and she is, I'm going to look at my little notes over here. Diane is a shamanic energy practitioner, spiritual coach and mentor, and numerologist. Her own journey has included a lifelong study of spirituality and mysticism, which led her to the Shamanic and Toltec traditions, her true passion and joy. These ancient wisdom traditions honor the Creator, the earth, and all living beings. And with that said, I'd like to introduce Diane. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This is exciting.
Yeah, so I know that was the short version of kind of your introduction. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about you? Kind of, I always like going backwards a little bit. So
Sure.
In regards to what was Diane like prior to being a shamanic practitioner, and what led you into this direction? Like, what's your story?
Okay, well, the story, and I'll try to keep it concise, was I was a mess before I found all sorts of things, because I really came to my spiritual path through an addiction. Through, now I've got over close to 30 years of being clean and sober. But once you do that, once you kind of start working the 12 steps and start looking at things, it didn't go far enough. So I started exploring all sorts of spiritual paths, studied with a lot of different teachers, all good information. And it just kept unfolding one step at a time, learning more and more. And then I found the shamanic and the Toltec teachings. The Toltec teachings, most people know, the basic Toltec teachings with Don Miguel Ruiz and his book, The Four Agreements. And that book is near and dear to my heart, although I never studied with him. I have a mentor who lives in Southern California, lived in Arizona at the time, who actually opened it all up. And that's where I just found the path of the shamanism and the Toltecs, and they work so well together. They are all, they dovetail so well, so interconnected. And then within the Toltec teachings, I found a form of numerology called Toltec Numerology that works with the vibrations of the earth and the energy. So all of it just coalesced into just enjoying the journey. And, how it all exactly happened, I don't know. It had to be that higher self, the soul had an intention, and this is where it all unfolded. And I'm deeply grateful for all the teachings.
Nice. So in regards, have you always lived in the Reno area? I mean,
No, actually grew up in Colorado Springs. And I've been in Reno now about 30 years. And I came here because of the addiction, got clean and sober here. So the spiritual part of the journey all happened, finding different things here. And 30 years ago, that was kind of a challenge. So it's so happy that Northern Nevada has expanded and grown so much in more of our metaphysical world. So, and I, for years, had an office down in Midtown, and did a lot of my work down there. And then about 3 years ago now, I met Lisa, who owns Earthy Energy, and everything just worked perfectly for me to come rent a space here. And it just is a perfect fit for me. I just love the people and everything else here.
Nice. So for some of our watchers that are looking at this, when they see the word Toltec, they may not actually have a good understanding of what that is. So is there a way that you can explain what Toltec?
The Toltec legend has it that the Toltecs actually came from way back, like with Atlantis, when Atlantis fell. and they scattered all over the world. Just certain groups of them did that. The ones that continued to be called Toltecs until the resurgent, probably in the 90s, were the Mesoamerican type, but you'll find this old ancient wisdom in so many different traditions. And it's a very practical path, and it's a very inclusive path. It's not a religion. It's not, you don't do this or do that. It's just more about walking the path of heart and freedom. So it was, shamanism definitely has a direct link to it. The history of it is fascinating, but it's kind of lengthy. So.
Well, that gives a good summary of it. So it's basically, it started as peoples, as a civilization, and then, that has been passed down, I'm sure,
Yeah.
through story and practice. And yeah, nice, very nice.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my notes. So now that we've kind of got the intro done and we've got to know a little bit about you, you have agreed to take us through a little grounding exercise, and so I'm looking forward to that.
Absolutely. Don't we all need grounding these days? All right, so we're just going to take and start with 2 deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth with a gentle sigh. And we're going to do one more of those 2 balances, the masculine and the feminine. Just do one more of those and relax. And now just bring your whole awareness down into your second chakra. For those of you who don't know where the second chakra is, it's the center. It's about just a few fingers below the belly button. It's an energy center. Bring your whole awareness. We see it as orange, so bring your whole awareness right into that second chakra. Feel all the internal dialogue, feel all the just focusing there, allowing the internal dialogue to just slow down and stop. And as you're grounded there, you can feel the Earth Mother right below you with no thoughts, just grounding yourself back into your body. And then we're just going to ask for a gentle, universal waterfall of light and energy. Just imagine this coming down from your crown chakra, the top of your head. And it's just kind of a cleansing as you're completely grounded in your body to just release stress, anxiety, just even the daily stuff. Feel yourself becoming fully present right here, right now. Tuning into the whole title of this, The Meaningful Monday. Bring that meaningful through your whole body, your mind, your spirit. Grounded in your body, remembering your spiritual being having this human experience. However, it's all good and balanced, and all is well. All is well. All is well. And then when you're ready, just open your eyes and just feel the earth beneath you and come all the way back.
Thank you for now. Yes. Yeah. What a great way to start a long conversation. So you had talked a little bit about, recovery, recovery basically being your baseline into being the driving force of searching within your spirituality and leading you into the Toltec path and within shamanism. What did that path look like? How did that journey get you here? were there classes or were there events that you were attending? Were there spiritual leaders that were in your life that you looked to for teaching? Like, how did that transition happen for you?
Um, well, I spent a lot of years doing a lot of events, everything from the Celebrate Your Life in Phoenix to studying psychics and all of that. I did a year-long intensive with a local teacher at another metaphysical shop we here at the time. Did some other ones with, at the time it was, I think, Center for Spiritual Living now. Anyway, some of these more in-depth sort of things. But I wasn't learning at a certain point. I got to the point I wasn't learning anything new. It was like same stuff, just new words. So I kind of knew it was ready for that next level. And you have to be a little careful what you ask for, because I said, okay, I'm ready for an intensive and I'm ready for a real teacher and I'm really ready to go to the next level. And that's when I met my mentor, John English. And I met him at the Celebrate Your Life conference in Phoenix. And he came here and did a workshop or two, and he was offering at the time the Medicine Wheel program. And I signed up for that. And that was nothing like I'd ever expected or understood. I've been to a lot of workshops, a lot of weekend retreats, lots and lots of stuff. And this was like, whoa, what is this kind of thing? And it went from there. I couldn't stop learning at that point. And from the medicine wheel, I went into the healer's training. And then I went into what we call the Toltec suite. It's the warrior's path. And I did the warrior's work and in-depth dreaming and journeying and trance. And he just became my mentor. And we've been together for, oh my God, he's been my mentor, even though I wouldn't call myself an apprentice. He's still who I go to, probably 15 years. And then at a certain point, now he's given me permission. We work together. His part is online, and then with me, for me to offer what I now call the Medicine Wheel Mentorship Circle. We do it differently than I did it, differently than he did it, different than his online program, but so I can offer it here in Northern Nevada. So that's kind of that in a nutshell. Once I found the Toltec teachings within shamanism, again, I just, anything I could find to learn and explore, as I call it, going down the rabbit hole with them. They're never ending, they're always evolving, and they're practical. So that's kind of what I like. And then I have this whole propensity that if I learn something that's useful, it just seems like I need to share it. So that's kind of how all that happened.
Nice. I think that there is like this transformation down these spiritual paths. And I know for me, I dabbled in many things throughout my whole lifetime, but then there came a time where I had, where my life had kind of opened up a little bit, and I just became this sponge, and all the right teachers and all the right people just start coming. And yeah, you can definitely go down the rabbit hole, but you end up finding those sweet spots where it's like, yes, this feels really good. I'm going to delve more into this. And then you do that. And then, I mean, ultimately, I think all of us that are following a spiritual path are a mixed bag of something, because all things basically lead to the same place, which is a place of love. And, I know that by my life opening up, I became more awake. And when I became more awake, I became more open. And the minute that I became that open, all the right things just started flooding in. And it's been a beautiful journey. And just in terms of putting me in touch with people like you who are so open to reach back to me and say, yeah, I'm willing to do that. And then I get to learn more in regards to just even little tidbits of what people are doing and how they're implementing that in their life. And so with the medicine wheel, I just want to talk to that just briefly. I know that you have a mentorship program coming up, and we'll talk more about that. And if people are interested in maybe finding out more about that, but there may be people that have only scratched the surface on what a medicine wheel even is, or have been offered a lot of different information. So just talking to that briefly about, your take on medicine wheel, and, how does someone actually take that and implement that in their daily practice or their daily lives, or a little bit more on that?
Well, medicine wheel traditionally is we work with stones, the earth, the mineral kingdom. And I'm sure you may have seen a medicine wheel on the earth. The North American tradition, certainly they use their medicine wheels, beautiful, what they do on the earth in a very large circle. There's certain numbers of stones, and it's where the four directions meet. And now this tradition comes from South America that John taught me. And we actually carry our medicine wheel with us in what we call a mesa. And it becomes empowerment. It's the journey of empowerment, and each direction, including the Toltecs, have the same thing. We use the same energy. The Toltecs talk about the four directions because they're their awareness and their vibrations. And in the mentorship circle, we go through each direction for about 3 months. And there's a series of exercises and work, and you work with the earth, and it's a very earth-based, heart-based path. And so there's anything that you've heard about the medicine wheel, there's traditions all over. You'll find the one that resonates with you. This one just happened to deeply resonate with me. And we incorporate into our mentorship circles a lot of the Toltec teachings and how to use those. As I said, we're very practically based to help people. I love the spiritual stuff, but how's it helping you now? And so you begin by clearing a space. You shed the past, the programming, the social conditioning to find the true self. And it really is, and that we start in the South and we go to the West. And that's about kind of combing the shadows and removing anything there. And then the North, which is a wonderful place of understanding our lineage and really grounding all of it. And then we end up in the East, where it is where our destiny lies. So we actually can retrieve that. And there's just a series of energies with that. And then from there, it's just an untold number of ways to incorporate it and use it. I've never found anybody who does it. And there's many different teachers of the medicine wheel. And you find your right teacher. So there's no competition, but it's all about that empowerment and really living from the heart and the soul, the true self, and finding who we are. So that launches us into a lot of purpose and what we came here to do. Everybody kind of comes for a different reason. Not everybody does it and then becomes a healer. It's just their own personal journey. Other people do. They go on to all the rest of it. Some of them just for more learning and more knowledge. Some of it's for community. There's just no right or wrong reason to be doing that. North American, there's different traditions that come from South America too, using the same. Their mesas are on the ground, more like an altar. There's just so many different ones. Find the one that resonates with the person. My groups, we keep them very small. We keep them to 3 or 4 people because I walk beside them. I don't do it for them because they have to empower themselves, but walk beside them, and then they have a community. And then everybody that has done it with us, we have what we call the greater community. We get together once a month, so you meet other people that have done it and that type of thing. And we have different events for all of that. So that I hope that explained your question kind of in a long version. But it's just, it's a path of empowerment, and it just opens so many doors.
And when you were talking, one of the things that really struck out and resonated with me with regards to like the direction south and kind of shedding some of that old stuff. And I correlate that with really where we are in present times right now. A lot of my conversations with people, it's really about shedding some of those ideals and values and beliefs that are just no longer serving us. And we've had this really great introspective time to kind of look at that and say, this is not working. And then the world is unveiling so many truths, and so much is shedding within the world too, that it's contagious as a collective. I think we're all at this place where we're like, how is it that we move forward? And when you were talking, it's like, how do we resonate, towards the West, and where are we at in the West, and being able to incorporate the wheel in our everyday life. And I loved how you have a community. So you work with a small group of people so you can give them more individualized attention. And then they also have the support of people who have also gone through your program and your mentorship, which is great to have a community like that, where the message is, everybody's journey is different, but the message is pretty much the same. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and the journey's really beautiful. And the best thing is it's all inclusive. There's no, you don't have to be this, you don't have to be that. I've had people that have studied, studied their spiritual path and metaphysics and all this for years and years and years, and novices that say, I'm not real sure about any of this. But it works because it works with the power of their, we call it the dreamer. In the Toltec tradition, it's called the dreamer, the higher self, the one who dreamed this lifetime into being. And that dreamer, it's in charge of the journey. So all I do, I really consider myself mostly a door person. I open and a tour guide. I open the door and I guide, and not need to tell anybody where to go or what to do, kind of thing. That's really the way I look at myself.
That's kind of how I was as a substance abuse professional. So I worked as a counselor for over 20 years in treatment, and you've heard it said many times in the 12-step law, all we're doing really is planting a seed, right? And so being a seed planter and a light shiner, like here's the path, you can choose to take it or you can go the other direction, and just offering the right information, whatever that looks like for them to be able to take what they need and leave the rest, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then
in the whole, addiction world, what I have discovered is that when we align to that higher self that aligns to whatever creator is, that gives us the power to move through not only an addiction, which is a huge challenge, but any of our challenges in life, and do it much easier. We're always going to have challenges, because that's how spirit of man hasn't really evolved past learning the hard way. But when we have it's almost like we kind of have a clue, more power shows up, more everything. And we find our true selves. It really is back to who we really are and who we came here to be, and not what somebody else told us we should be.
Right. Going back to the shedding again.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So I want to talk a little bit about the numerology piece. That was when we initially started talking. There's so many things that interest me, learning more about you and your practice and what you do and your offerings to others. But I really was drawn to the numerology piece. So what is that? What does it look like? How does someone practice that? If somebody were to come see you, we'll get to that question, but just numerology. Let's talk about that for a second.
Okay. Toltec numerology is a rather obscure, not very well known form of numerology. You will see some similarities with the Pythagorean and other types of numerology, but it serves a different purpose. It's not so much about who your soulmate is or that kind of thing, or what, it's more about, it's a kind of a tool to use for self-discovery when you need a little extra guidance or information from what you normally get. And it's I don't know if you've ever studied astrology, but it is so in-depth, and there's so many different pieces of it. And this can get just as in-depth and different pieces to it. But breaking it down, there's 3 main numbers that everything else comes back to. Kind of like astrology, where you have your sun, your moon, and your rising sign, and everything else kind of supports that. But this is really the vibration in numerology. It's the vibration you're living this lifetime. And you get a little information. There's some numbers that represent what you learned in past lives that is helping you this life. And there's challenge numbers and soul cycles. What cycle are you in? And it's all about the vibration that's influencing what you came here to learn, what your higher self wants you to learn this lifetime to evolve your soul, okay, to learn and grow with. And the main three numbers are what we call the soul urge, the personality number, and the destiny number. And the soul urge is literally what the intent of your higher self is. And that's kind of a nice thing to know. It's kind of helpful to know, okay, well, that makes perfect sense. Personality is kind of what you do on the earth plane. Your life here on the earth. And when that aligns, when you use the numbers and the vibrations harmoniously, it just makes life easier. And then destiny is literally the script. It's kind of like how it all plays out. So it's very helpful to know all of those kind of things. In the numerology, as with everything on the earth, we have two different sides of it. The first is what they traditionally call the exoteric, which is straightforward positive and negative characteristics. Intend this, work with this intention. Like in the number one, the example is a positive characteristics of a number one is tenacity, which is really wonderful. You don't give up easy. You kind of, you'll stay at it till you find the way. However, the negative side of that would be being stubborn. So it's almost like your higher self's energy compared to your ego's energy. So just even having, you learn how to feel that vibration. Oh, now I'm being stubborn. So what does that mean? How do I just become tenacious about this? And that moves a lot of fluidity. You see things differently, and it opens up those pathways, so it can help you. And every number, we work with basically 20 up to the number 22. We have a couple power numbers, 33s in there too. So, and everyone has that positive, the first 9 plus the power numbers have this straightforward positive and negative. Then there's another side of it that kind of speaks to the mind. Very logical, very rational, very useful. Then the other side is the esoteric, which is we use the major arcana of the tarot cards. Differently than normally using tarot cards. We work with the archetypes of the tarot cards. We let the archetypes inform us of more information, how to do it a little differently. We talk about that speaks to our heart as opposed to the mind. And bringing those all together, you see the threads connecting them. It's just kind of an extra guidebook to help what we're doing this lifetime and how to make it more congruent.
So when you talk about like the destiny number, so if I have a soul number, a personality number, and then a destiny number, that destiny number, is it one of those like, this is my fate, and I'm going to continue to repeat, let's just say, patterns or sometimes mistakes until that destiny aligns with what direction I'm going to go in? Have you had some experience with that? Or is it just more my soul and my heart on the journey learns, the more it takes me down the destiny path?
That's more what it is. It's more about how the destiny number is that you've come here to learn, let's say, how to follow your heart. And there's going to be ups and downs, and the path goes here, and it's all, we honor free choice beyond anything. So, you choose to do this, you choose to go to college, you don't choose to go to college. Doesn't matter. That destiny path is, you're still on it learning, but it's part of the whole script of how you get there. And as far as there's what we call the challenge numbers, and that's where you would see your stubborn patterns. What can you do to overcome stubborn patterns? And that comes from your birth date. So that's more helpful to see, like I was explaining before, when we were talking a little bit before, one of my biggest challenge numbers is the number 3, which is kind of disorder and chaos. So when you say, I'm glad you're paying attention to the details, it's well, because I have to, because it's my biggest challenge number. I'm kind of like here or there. And so that old pattern. And so it's always a reminder that that's the negative side. So what energy do I need to bring in to change that? So, and once we change the energy, it's so much easier to change every level below that energy down into the physical. So there is a way to look at those kind of things also.
So we had talked a little bit about like what 2021. So moving forward. So if 2020 is is the number 4, and then moving into 2021 being the number 5, like what's your take, or what's your, give us your wisdom, Diane, as we move forward.
Well, it's interesting because 20 really is very much about the journey, the new cycle of the journey, really, because you're in that whole new 20 as compared to the 19, whole new, decade. So we've been kind of in it. And at 2020, we got kind of a double whammy of that. And it's about the journey. But the number 4, the positive numbers is security, stability, and all of that for the number 4. 4s are very balanced energy, being very judicious, very relaxed about it. Well, we've had anything but that. But if you look at the negative side of it, stagnation, domination, dictatorships, lack of, all of this harsh energy. So, and I do believe that all of it, for a lot, there's so many different threads of why it's happening, but I think we can choose what we want to do with that. So how do we find our own stability, security, and purpose in the midst of a crisis and a really heavy, intense energy, and move out of that stagnation, even though outside of us it may be going on? So it's about finding our own power. And I think that the whole virus has given all of us an opportunity to choose differently. And some people, to look at things differently, to prioritize. It's kind of interesting that how people would rush to go to work no matter what, no matter how sick they were or how bad they felt, because it was what you should do, what you're supposed to do. And it was like, I have to get it done. I have too much work to do, kind of thing. And now people are actually thinking about the other people. I hear over and over again, yeah, if I get it, I'll deal with it, but I just don't want to give it to anybody else. I've seen good things come out of all of this. Families, yeah, they got a little tired of each other, but it's like reconnecting to the inner family to be able to go out, the yearning for that connection and those groups and everything. People, I think we took so much for granted. And I think we have an opportunity to change that. And, 2021, it will be a 5 number, and that's freedom and change. So let's ground the opportunities into changing for the positive. And there's a sense of curiosity so that we can go, I wonder if that's going to work. I wonder if that's what we need to do. And there's a sense of, okay, well, we're not doing what we used to do. So let's turn this more into an adventure instead of a restriction, which number 4 is, if you're the opposite of the stability, it's restriction. And, the one thing we'll have to be careful of in 2021 in a 5 number is being impulsive and wanting change so badly we jump without looking and that type of thing. So, but it's the other thing with the number 5 is it's going within and knowing ourselves and our own knowing, trusting our own knowing of what to do for us. And, 20 in itself is peace and success. So we want to, 2021, depends how there's so many different ways to look at it, but that's the, last number of the major arcana, which is, peace and success. It's the world. And I think we've had to understand that the world is interconnected and what happens to us affects everybody. And it's an opportunity to stop our separate thinking and understand what the whole and the collective. So that's my hope. At least we will ground that differently into the new.
Yeah, always trying to keep some hope. And I really liked how you talked about, the pandemic and shelter in place has really offered it. There's so many positive things that we can take from it. The introspection that we get to go inward, really being able to evaluate based on not being able to do stuff. So we miss being able to hug our friends and go to birthday parties and do, as a result of missing that, we really get to show a sense of gratitude and longing for, how can we move forward and really appreciate and put value in those kind of relationships, because it's really the relationships. Yeah, there's the mundane grind. We got to go to work and make money and do all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, some of the things that I really paid attention to throughout my life is what dying people say. And one of those things is that they just, they didn't value the relationships. They didn't spend more quality time with the relationships in their lives. And if they have regrets, that was one of them. And, this offers us a really bright light to shine on what those relationships look like, and being able to move forward into 2021 with some hope and appreciation for how those things are valuable to us, which is great. So thank you for that. And moving into events. So you have some stuff coming up. You're directly involved with Earthy Energy, which is, like I mentioned before, it's a shop. And it's right on the cusp. Is it Sparks or is it Reno? It's
No, we're in Sparks. We're in Sparks. Yeah.
So I'll let you talk to like the events, the Wednesday, and the school, the mentorship school that you have coming up. And then there's another event that you guys are talking about doing in the middle of September.
Right. So Earthy Energy is in Sparks. We're really conveniently located right off of I-80 off of Rock Boulevard. The address is 1023 North Rock Boulevard. So you just go north from I-80, and we're right. It's like a curve. We're right on the curve, and it's a wonderful crystal shop. You will find everything here is great. So, but she has offered a lot of events, and you can go to Creatively Spirited. That's her website. You'll see all the events here. And we just today, and one of the events I do every week, it's a Zoom meditation. It's called midday midweek meditation. It's kind of like that. Halfway through, you need a little help, right? Let's get through. So we spend a half hour. It was originally designed for people on their lunch hour, could come in for a half hour just for a break. Well, we've put it on Zoom. We've got distance. We're doing our social distancing and the PPE, so I can have 4 people join us in person. So I just ask for, RSVPs for that. When we have 4, we're full. Otherwise, you can just join us on Zoom from anywhere. And I do a short shamanic journey. I usually start with a quote or an intention, and then we do a short shamanic journey. It's about 5 minutes of relaxing, 20 minutes of like a trance time, just a silent time with music and a little drumming, and then coming back while we're holding the intention of whatever comes to mind for the week. So that we do that every Wednesday. We also we're looking at what else we could do, because people are missing community. So we decided that the equinox would be a perfect time to do something. So we're going to go to the park. It's Ardmore Park on Audie Boulevard. It's very close to where we are here in Sparks, right where Earthy Energy is. And that's going to be on the 21st. It's a Monday night. It's the night before fall actually officially arrives. The equinox is on the 22nd. So we're going to say goodbye to summer, and we're going to welcome fall. And it's a balance. So we're going to do it the day before. The energy will be there 24 hours before, 24 hours after, of balance. Equal day and night. So Lisa's going to set up a crystal grid in a circle, which is really another medicine wheel of sorts. And everybody will be allowed to, on the ground, offer something to the grid while we're there. We're inviting people to bring their drums or their rattles. We're going to do some gentle rattling, probably like a heartbeat, and return to balance and harmony. And let's, get ourselves ready for harvesting whatever this last 6 months has been, and getting the power and the energy from it. So that's, we don't have all the details up because we only decided this morning when we were trying to figure out community events, but it'll be up soon, both on my website and on Earthy Energy's website. And of course, Earthy Energy you can find on Facebook too, right under Earthy Energy, and all the events are up there also. So that's the next one. I do the mentorship circles twice a year. I start one in the spring and one in the fall. And so my fall one will be coming up at the end of October. And we sit down and talk about it because it is a commitment. It's a 13-month program. So to give all the information, I call it the application process, not so much an application process as, well, make sure it's a good fit for everybody. I don't want anybody jumping in saying, oh my God, I just have to do, if you have to do it, great, we'll welcome you. But we want to make sure everybody has all the details. So we sit down for about 45 minutes and talk about it all. So if that's the case, they can find all the details on my website, which we just have I have a brand new website, like 30 days old. We're still getting glitches out of it. So all of that is there and a way to sign up for that. But that'll be starting, it'll be on Monday nights. It'll be either the third or fourth Monday for sure. We'll get started. We've got a few little things we need to iron out before we do that. We got to make sure that we're not interfering with 3-day weekends and that kind of stuff. So all of that is coming. So that's kind of what we have on tap right now.
Mm-hmm. And you'll be able, for anybody that's watching, you guys will be able to access all that. I'll put links down below, whether it's on Facebook, it might be in the comments. If it's on YouTube, it'll be in the pull down, all those details. And I know as far as the mentorship program, you can reach that on Diane's web link. So I'll have all that stuff posted if any of you guys are interested in that. And if you struggle with any of it, you can reach out to me and I can make sure to get you connected with Diane and all the right details. So yeah, yes. So did I forget anything besides my one last question that I have for you? Is there anything that I didn't ask that maybe you think I should have?
Well, was your last question about what I want to offer everybody if they need a little help right now?
Yes.
Okay. Wasn't sure what your last question was. Okay. So what I wanted is as I said, the numerology is really in depth, but if you're interested in knowing what those 3 main numbers are, I have what is called an insight session, a numerology insight session, and it gives you your main 3 numbers. You'll get a little handout about the positive and negatives. It's about a 90-minute session. Normally the charge is $147, and so everybody listening today, I'm going to take $40 off. That 4 needs to serve a purpose somewhere, right? Our 2020 kind of thing. So we'll take the $40 off. So it would just be 107. And again, under the numerology, under the links, all you have to do is just call me. I need a little information. We'll get it scheduled. Just say you saw the podcast and the offer to, make number 4 the positive side of things.
Nice. Very nice. So what a great offer. And if anybody, especially people that, are like, wow, numerology and how it personally affects me and getting those information details and be able to have a session with you. And 90 minutes is a pretty intense session. So yeah, that's a beautiful offering. Thank you so much for that. And in closing, what is your favorite quote and why?
Okay, I would say, it's hard to only get one because I love quotes, and I've taken this from a couple different sources, so it's kind of together, so I'm not sure originally who said it, but is that life is a wondrous mystery that is to be experienced and explored and not a problem to be solved.
Right. That's beautiful. Yeah, for those of us problem solvers, right? I know that, so it's resonating with me, especially in the community of 12-step, because we're like, don't be in the problem, be in the solution. So it's always about solving problems and not marinating in what it is, and not always looking at it as, what are the lessons here to teach me?
and being able to embrace, you know, whether it's the negative end of the spectrum or the positive end of the spectrum. But it's all positive in the long run if we are open to receiving those lessons. So
Yeah. And I love it because the unknown is scary. And that's been the biggest problem. And so when we look at it more as just something to explore and experience, it helps move through that unknown much easier. And it really takes that pressure off, and it keeps you from looking at the problem, that focusing on the problem instead of exploring and going, I wonder why.
what am I going to do with it? What am I going to do with all this free time on my hands?
Well, I would just, we have free time on our hands. Let's just enjoy it.
Yes, yes. So thank you so much for joining us, and I'm so grateful and appreciative for all the time that you've spent with our prior meetings to this interview, and I look forward to be able to meet you in real life someday very soon. And yeah, I'll make sure to have all the details to be able to make contact with Diane, and also the earthy energy information. So yeah, thank you so much. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you for the work you do in the world. The more people out there doing this work together, you know, my other favorite quote is be the change you wish to see in the world. And by all of us doing this, and thanks everybody for tuning in and watching this, because that's all part of it too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thank you.
Yay. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Okay.